Hi everyone, welcome to your latest planning outlook updated on Tuesday the 18th of February. Now, it's still a roller coaster ride of temperature and weather systems coming in through this week into the weekend and beyond, with some sustained periods of freeze across the mountains, particularly in Scotland, also some spells where temperatures lift above freezing and there's some heavy rainfall with the scope for flooding, particularly again across England and Wales. Often windy, risk of gales and storm force winds still at times. Let's dive in and have a look at the temperatures first of all to show you the sequence of air masses moving through from west to east. And we start off on a chilly note on Wednesday morning, this at 850 millibars, which nicely represents the highest tops in Scotland. Here comes a warm front then through the day, and temperatures will lift just above freezing, even up to the highest tops through Wednesday evening, with some rain for a time then toward the higher summits. But a cold front will quickly follow, and temperatures go down sharply as we head onwards into early Thursday. And by the time we get to mid-morning across the Highlands, you're back down to temperatures of -6 or so on the very highest tops and a freezing level of only around 400 metres or so. So a very sharp drop of temperature there behind that cold front, and that sweeps across all regions through into the rest of Thursday. Into Friday, though, we go back to a southwesterly, and it's a milder air mass that sweeps in once again, and temperatures lift back to about freezing point or just above on the highest tops, even in Scotland, and generally above freezing across the hills of England and Wales. A cold front, though, is never too far away, and as we head onwards into the weekend, we go back into a chillier westerly air mass across the northern half of Britain into Saturday, with a general polar maritime showery flow and temperatures again around -4 or -5, even a touch below on the highest tops in Scotland. Meanwhile, further south, it's a bit touch and go in terms of whether the Lake District tops hover around or just above or below freezing, and Wales more likely in a milder west by southwesterly air mass through this weekend. Quite a sharp contrast of temperature north to south then through the weekend. Onwards into the start of next week, it's likely that we see a push of northwesterly air once again, coming in generally on a westerly wind, but we may well see yet again a more widespread drop of temperature and freezing level for a few days early next week. I'll run through the snow depth sequence then in 6-hour steps, starting off on Wednesday. You'll see how things just retreat a little bit on this chart through the day as the rain then moves into the Highlands, but it'll all fill back in again as the next areas of showers develop through Thursday. That's through into Thursday evening and night. But as we go into Friday, it eases away again as the further rainfall comes in, coming back into the weekend as more snow and hail and ice comes down across the Highlands and even across the southern uplands there, showing up something of an accumulation that onwards into Sunday, with chillier air suggested down even as far as the Lake District and the Pennines, with the scope for some snow on the tops there according to this chart. And the early days of next week, well, it still sticks with the snow cover across the Highlands, comes and goes a little bit. This will be interesting if this comes out, because the modelling by midweek puts something a bit more widely back to the Pennines and Wales. That's really at the mercy at the moment of just how the models are resolving the various air masses, but it shows that there's the potential for a chillier west by northwesterly flow to still be around well into the middle of next week. Synoptic charts then go like this. This is Wednesday with that warm front moving in from the Atlantic, and we've got rain preceded by snow coming in from the west and the southwest, setting in and becoming heavy as we go through into the afternoon and the evening, latest to arrive across the far northeast of Scotland. Wind strengthening as that warm sector arrives, becoming severe gale force, gusting 60, even 70 miles per hour across the high tops by late afternoon. It's a very active cold front then that moves southeastwards into Thursday. That big temperature contrast we were mentioning, some really lively conditions for a time, squally, heavy bursts of rain and hail and a rumble of thunder first thing in the morning across Wales and Pennine areas. That will clear and cloud will break and sunshine will come out behind that feature, and for a time it'll seem quite pleasant, but cold air will be moving in and some showers will follow, and those of snow and hail falling to low levels, and those becoming very frequent across Scotland as this trough comes in from the Atlantic that may well set in for the western and northwestern Highlands through Thursday afternoon. Really back to square one with what we've been seeing many recent days. Here's Friday, and high pressure is to the south, and we've got a strong southwesterly flow across the British Isles and a conveyor belt of a warm sector coming into the western side of Scotland in particular, and that will be prolonged, very heavy rainfall across the Highlands there. Some sleet and wet snow on the higher tops, but largely rain, I'm afraid, up to high levels, so we'll do quite a bit of damage to the existing snowpack that would be around at this stage. Once again, an unwanted thaw. Very windy day, storm force winds across the mountains extensively, some very powerful gusts as well towards the lee side of higher ridges with a stable southwesterly air mass. It really squeezes the air over the mountains, so creates those turbulent gusts running toward the eastern side of the Highlands and also the eastern side of the Pennines as well. Temperatures on balance around or just above freezing point to the higher slopes then. Is that frontal zone into the weekend with the real contrast from north to south across the British Isles through this weekend. Temperatures in the lowlands across southern England well into double figures, whilst the northern half of the country is seeing that wintry westerly flow once again. So snow and hail showers coming in from the west into Scotland. A murky zone around that front where we've got cloud and outbreaks of rain and drizzle could be quite persistent in places. Exactly where that front lies will dictate just who gets what across Wales and northern England, so keep an eye on your local forecast for that one. Basically though, it looks a windy day for all and upland gales pretty widespread. Quite a tangle into Sunday as the next frontal system ripples its way through, and it may eventually pull in a colder air mass behind the cold front that is shown here across Ireland. The risk of some prolonged rainfall for a time, that may clear. Showers again of snow and hail following in from the west across into Scotland and may well move into northern England with time through Sunday. The wind, bit of uncertainty. Squeeze of the isobars is toward the south of the British Isles. There may be a relative lull for some, but I'd be aware for the risk of strong winds still being in the forecast. That's the state of play on the big picture then as we go into the start of next week, and it's still a general westerly flow with high pressure away toward the south, low pressure toward the north, and just the scope to draw things around from Greenland and Iceland and maybe just a bit more directly from the north-northwest for a day or so. There's some uncertainty on that one at this stage, but it's just that general feeling of, again, a few cold days with sub-zero conditions on the mountains as we go through the early stages of next week. Still generally coming round as west or at best northwesterly winds, but still having its origins off the Atlantic. So a chart that looks something like this is believable early in the week, this then adding the rain and the showers to the whole thing and showing low pressure toward the north, various troughs and occluded fronts wrapped around that low with a real tangle of showers due to be in the forecast in the early days of next week. You can see that source of the air then having come around from the Norwegian Sea and Iceland and across the British Isles on that west by northwesterly flow. So still plenty of scope for wintry conditions on the mountains, even well onwards into next week. Stay up to date with all your local forecasts then every day on our website. I'll update the video for you again on Friday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.